It has been such a crazy year with COVID and everything else going on, and we have missed you guys so much. So we are so excited to finally launch Cozying Up Season 2. We have an amazing lineup of badass women with such inspirational stories of different walks of life, and I can't say excited enough, but so excited to share those with you. Hope you enjoy. So today we sat down with Megan Roup. She's the founder of the Sculpt Society. As many of you know, I love the Sculpt Society, and it is this at-home workout that really kicks your butt. But she wasn't always an overnight success. She really trusted her intuition, which led her to founding her company and where she is now. And I thought, Megan's journey was so inspirational because it shows that not all paths to success are linear. And, out of this crazy year of 2020 where we were all locked at home and we all had to work out at home, that's where people discovered her business, her talent, and that's how she really blew up, which is an inspiration in itself that you can find success and light in this craziness and darkness of this time. I hope the interview with her will inspire you to, chase your dreams, follow your intuition, or maybe just do a kick-ass workout. Yay! Well, welcome to Cozying Up with a Clear Cut, where we get up close and personal with women that inspire us. And I'm so excited because today we are with someone that really inspires me, Megan Roup of the Sculpt Society. I feel like I know you already because all through quarantine, that's when I discovered the Sculpt Society, and I started doing the daily programs and the weekly things, and it really kept me sane. And you were
in your apartment every day.
In my apartment every single day. And I was like, oh my God. And I love the whole method and everything. And it was such a great way to be active when we were stuck inside.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. And I hear that all the time that people, it's like your friend in your living room hanging out with you. But I so appreciate that that's how it reads, because that's how I want it to feel. Mm-hmm. I really want people, if they are working out with me on the Sculpt Society app, that they feel like they have a friend with them.
Yes.
And it's really a casual, almost conversation, hey guys, I'm with you here again today, and we're going to do this together.
Exactly. And you actually do the whole workouts together, which is so crazy. So when I'm dying and I look up at the screen and you're keep going, it really resonates with me.
Yes. So I mean, even if I'm in real life or on the Sculpt Society app, I think it's really important to see the trainer do the entire workout, because you've been in those classes where the trainer is walking around most of the class and you're like, hey buddy, if you were actually doing this, it would be a little bit different. So I'm constantly reminding everyone that I'm feeling the pain or the spice, as I like to say.
The spice.
with my clients as well in my community.
Awesome. When you were your younger self, did you think or see yourself in, as a founder of a business, or did you see yourself where you are now?
Absolutely not. If you would have told me growing up this is what I would have been doing, I would have said you were absolutely crazy. I think, I didn't really have a clear vision of what I wanted to do. I definitely always leaned into the things that I enjoyed. So for so long, that was dance, and really leaned into that passion and in pursuing that. And then that really did evolve into fitness. And I started teaching fitness in New York City as a side hustle, but really discovered the true love affair of that, and just started to lean more into it and really saw that as a long-term career for myself. So I think for me, it's always been good not to have this strict idea of what I needed to do, because it allowed me to sort of ebb and flow and lean in and continue to do the things that I love to do, and have that ever evolve. And so for me, that was dance and then fitness. And I just took it one step at a time, but no, I definitely would not say this is what I thought I would be doing. However, I definitely come from a family of entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. My dad is an entrepreneur, and I think that really instilled a lot of the values I have and hustle I have.
So you had that entrepreneurial spirit always. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey from, being in dance to transitioning into fitness and, ultimately founding the Sculpt Society.
Yeah, it was tough, so I went to NYU's Tisch dance program.
I went to NYU too.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to, for media and communication.
Okay, well, I minored at Stanford. So maybe we had a class together.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved my minor was my backup plan for my parents because they were like, "You're going to major in dance," and I said, "Fine, I'll get a minor. If I need to use it." But so it's the Tisch dance program's small,
intense,
and it's really intense. It's really almost like a conservatory, but you're getting a BFA. And then, you graduate and you're kind of like, okay, I'm in New York City. I'm paying really expensive rent.
Yeah. What was your plan for when you graduated?
0. Again, I was just like, I'm just going to, I had this idea that would all fall into place. And it certainly it took a lot longer than I thought. I think the idea in my perfect world was that I would go and I would dance on Broadway. I quickly discovered that I didn't have a strong enough singing voice to be in the ensemble chorus in Broadway. I would constantly get past like the dance audition and then they call you back to sing in front of everyone. And they'd be like, "Thank you, ma'am, but we've seen enough." But, I did a little theater work, a little bit of company work, modern company work. And then I worked with the NBA and really found my stride really more in commercial work. So danced with the Brooklynettes.
Oh, cool.
For 2 years. And that was really fun. But it definitely took me a while. I had many moments, when I graduated where I was like, should I move back to California and like start over? Because, the idea of going to another audition and being told no over and over again was disheartening after a couple years. And then, of course, trying to survive here. So I had a bunch of side hustle jobs, and one of that was working in fitness, which I'm so happy that I stumbled upon because, again, that really led me to where I am now and just fell in love with the community and working with women and seeing the direct impact that I could have on their lives through moving your body.
Yeah. So was there like a specific time that you faced rejection or like criticism that really stuck with you, that motivated you?
Ooh, I mean, it was like a daily basis when you're in the dance world. I think I'm a really sensitive person, but I also have thick skin, and I think that's in tribute to going on auditions and being told no over and over again. I think as a dancer, you really have to be your own advocate and your own cheerleader and know, really, like, as cheesy as it sounds, like really believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Because you walk into an audition and you're this, you see 400 girls who look exactly like you,
yeah,
who can dance just as well. And, like you really have to believe in yourself. But, I was faced anything I've ever done professionally, I had auditioned 4 or 5 times for. So I think just knowing and being resilient and going back to it and knowing that I could do it, and just I needed to kind of get the timing needed to be right or whatever it was. But just like the tenacity behind it, I think that really stems from dance and being told no over and over again.
And did that kind of tenacity help you when you wanted to go off on your own and create your own business? Like, what was that like?
Yeah. So I had taught at a local studio for 6.5 years. I had really dabbled in all things fitness, it's really finding like my stride and what I loved about fitness. So I would not only, while I was teaching, I would not only, take other people's classes, but I would take different modalities, yoga, reformer Pilates, and just really figuring out what felt good and really structuring a class that I felt like was missing in the dance-based fitness world. So yes, was I terrified? Absolutely. But I had a side hustle in fashion at the time. That was my 3rd job. For all the artists out there, I'm sure that resonates, 3 jobs. But I worked as a fit model with designers. So I was their live mannequin. And that really gave me the financial stability to pursue the Sculpt Society. And I'm so grateful for that because I think it was so important to not rely on the Sculpt Society initially for my finances.
Yep.
And really cultivate the community and what I was doing and the goal with my company before relying on it financially. So I forget what the question was, but if I was nervous to leave, yes, I was definitely nervous, and it absolutely took me much longer to cultivate the community as well than I anticipated. But again, I was very adamant and really believed in what I could provide from a class standpoint. I just knew I needed bodies in the room to experience the class. And that just took time. And luckily I was able to give it time because I didn't have the financial stress of paying rent with teaching classes.
And I think everything is all about timing, right? And this year was so crazy and, so rough for so many people, but I feel like the Sculpt Society blew up because everyone was stuck at home and we were going to like a virtual like classes and things like that. So it was like the perfect moment. And you also got married. So congratulations. This was kind of like a great year. Yeah.
Crazy. I know it's the silver lining for me because, I launched the Sculpt Society in real life classes 3.5 years ago. And I only launched the Sculpt Society app November of 2019.
Wow. So perfect timing.
And that was another like really big, scary step because I was being told that I was absolutely crazy for doing that. And that like, how could I expect to run a digital business? But I so believed in, again, what I was doing and that I could bring my in real life classes onto the screen and share that with so many more people. But yes, so many poor people are now at home working out. And I think for a lot of people, they never would have thought that they could have found a great workout at home.
I personally was always like kind of against at-home workouts. I was like, I need to be in a class. Like, otherwise I'm not going to do it. I need to like have the motivation and like the people around me. So it was like when we got locked up earlier in March, I was like, what do I do? Like, am I just like not going to work out? But that's why finding something like the Sculpt Society was so great because I had that feeling of being in a class and that motivation without having to like actually be there.
Yeah. And I think for so many of us, that similar experience, realizing how much more cost effective, right, versus going to if you come see me in New York City, it's a $35 class for one class, and my monthly subscription is $19.99.
Yeah,
so it's way more cost effective and time effective, right? You run a business, the fact that you can work out, save time. I have so many moms in the community, like who don't have like their kids napping. They have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
How can we provide something like a solid workout to help stay consistent?
Yeah. And it was great because you could do like a 10-minute like booty thing or like ab thing, or like even 30 minutes is like so hard.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I like to pack it in. So, it was exciting for me to see the community grow. And then also to bring in that live element. I also go live on the Sculpt Society app multiple times a week. And so I think for a lot of people, realizing there's a sense of accountability with a live. Like if you don't show up at that time, you're going to miss the class. And I think for a lot of us who are at home, who crave that accountability, before it would be like paying for a boutique fitness class. And if you don't show up, you lose the money, right? And so for this, it's like, well, if you don't show up, you're losing the class. And so I found that really, really great addition to the product. And then also being able to stay on afterwards and have my coffee chats with the community and be able to, recognize names and people and where they're coming in from, and the ability to comment on the video and for me to see that and have that conversation with.
Well, that's also what I love about you in particular is you always like answer DMs and answer questions from like community. And well, that's also something like I try to do because I feel like it's so important if people are like engaging with you and reaching out to you to like have that connection. And, so many people dismiss that connection, but it's so powerful and it is such like a tool to build like a strong community.
Yeah. I think, even at the start of when I launched the Sculpt Society 3.5 years ago, I had 500 people on my Instagram, but I realized how powerful as a millennial, as a user of Instagram, that it was important to build that online community and then to really cultivate it, like you said, and answer people, right? Even if you have 500 followers, if someone's DMing you a question, make sure to respond. And I think that really just creates, a community that's more engaged and more invested in what you're doing. And My issue now is I could literally spend 12 hours a day answering DMs. So I do feel bad when I don't get to DMs.
It is hard. Like sometimes I'll like dedicate like an hour on my couch and be like, I'm just going to get through this, you know?
It's a lot. But at the same time, I get it because I've DM'd someone and if they answer back, I'm like, oh my gosh, so-and-so answered me back in a DM. So if I can be that way in any capacity for anyone who's following me, that's awesome.
What have you learned about yourself from founding the Sculpt Society?
Gosh, I've learned a lot. I think I'm someone, and I've always been this way, but I think I really found it when I founded my own company, is I'm just such a workaholic. And I have zero boundaries when it comes to work in my professional life. Like it'll be 10 p.m. at night and I'm still on my computer. I work on the weekends. It's really hard for me to take a day off. And I think what this year has taught me is to step back a little bit and to allocate some work. It's the first time I've ever hired. I've always had a team of trainers, Sculpt Society trainers, teaching with me in New York, but I've never really had the support from like a marketing exec or even like community management, all these little things that I was doing. And it was really spreading me really thin and also taking me away from the stuff that I'm actually good at, right? So I was spinning 10 plates in the air. And
that's important to recognize like what you're good at and what like someone else could help you with.
Yes. And my husband's been really helpful in pointing that out and forcing me to hire people, especially when COVID hit. And I was answering support emails and just doing literally everything for the company. And he was like, this is not sustainable. And your time spent answering a support email versus creating content for the app, your time is way better spent that way. So I think something I've learned and realized that I need to change is that, I will always be a bit of a workaholic, but learning how to allocate and, tell someone else who's better at their job, that they can take over that project and that I probably shouldn't be doing it because I'm not great at.
What's something you look for when you're hiring someone?
So I feel like I'm still learning in that realm of things. I think making sure that they understand the business is really important, really understand like what the ethos of the company are, what I stand for, and can talk to that. I've made a couple bad hires in my past.
It happens. Same.
Yeah. I think you learn from your mistakes and you hope that you improve as you move on. I think people showed their true colors pretty early on. And just, being able to recognize if something isn't working, right? And to, what do they say? Hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's something I'm learning to do. And just also for me, being able to trust that someone can do
trusting people with your baby.
Yeah. That's tough for me.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
I understand. What's the most rewarding thing about being an entrepreneur and what's the hardest part?
Gosh. I think the most rewarding thing about the Sculpt Society for me is seeing and talking to my community. So like just hearing someone like you who's done the program and has, felt and seen and felt really the effects of the Sculpt Society. I certainly believe in it, but when I see other people who are doing it and who are just as passionate about it and have parts of their lives have changed and their confidence has changed.
I forced my husband Kyle to do a couple workouts with me and he thought they were super hard.
They are.
Yeah. He was like, what is this? I can't put my leg this way.
Well, and that's why I like to bring Morgan in because my husband, because I think it's really great for other men to see, Morgan doing it too. And if he's suffering, maybe they can suffer with him.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the whole point of the Sculpt Society for me is to empower women to feel confident in their own bodies. So if I can do that for one or two people, I feel like I've really done my job. And that's really the most rewarding part of what I'm doing.
Hey everyone, Olivia here. Hope you're enjoying our episode. Our Clear Cut collection features fine jewelry pieces inspired and designed with you in mind. Our collection is ever-changing and each piece is handmade and made to order here in New York City. Don't forget to check it out and use the code COZY, COZY, for free shipping on any purchase.
the hardest part of what I'm doing is like what we just talked about, is just it never stops. There's always something to do. And that can get draining. And I think that's me learning again how to create some more boundaries and, not need to do so much all the time and realize that I can slow down and continue to grow my business.
What do you do for like personal self-care? Because you're always like working and on the go. Like what do you do like for mental and physical like self-care?
Pre-COVID, I would get a massage like once a week.
Love that.
I know. I would go to Chinatown, like the best cheap massages in the world, like really, which obviously isn't happening these days, which is really sad. I can't wait to go back to that. But I try and meditate. I have meditations on the app that I'm really passionate about. I'm certainly not. I could be way better at being more consistent with how the cadence of how much I'm doing per week, but I am also a work in progress. So just taking a couple, minutes every day to breathe. Sleep is really important to me. I get
Yes,
a lot
me
of
too.
sleep.
I love sleep.
I think it's underrated.
Yes.
And I feel like it's just so, so important just for overall well-being. And then I think during COVID, FaceTiming with my family has been a really big aspect of just having an uplifting conversation or, talking about your day with someone that you love is, as simple as something like that. And then also going for walks outside.
Same. I've been like during COVID, I was just walking in the park every day. Like that was all I did.
Well, and to be honest, I'm really struggling with that now because of the weather in New York. It's
I can't do it. Yeah.
And it's dark at like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
So the fact that I had to take an Uber here I was like, this is amazing. I'm like doing this big outing. But I notice again, such a difference if I can just get outside for 10 minutes a day and walk and I think too, because pre-COVID we were walking around and going from one appointment to the next and I was constantly moving.
And then you're just like locked in.
Now I'm just locked into my apartment, especially now because I film from my apartment, so I don't have to leave.
Yeah, it's good to force yourself out even like once a day just to be like, I got out there.
Yeah. Take a breath.
Is there like a skill you learned during COVID or something you picked up?
I'm certainly not a tech person, even though I run a tech company.
Me too. I'm not.
But I do have to say I've been very impressed with I've learned a lot from like a tech perspective with the app going live. And then also my editing skills with my videos. So I used to have... You
edit your own videos?
I edit my own videos.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed.
So it was so funny because, pre-COVID, when I launched the Sculpt Society app, I filmed everything in LA in a beautiful studio, well lit, professionally done. I had it professionally edited. We're COVID happens and I'm like, well, I'm going to start filming from my living room. And that really forced me to learn how to mic myself, how to add music to a video, how to edit it on Final Cut Pro, all of these things, which I always hired someone to do. Eventually I will allocate that again because it is time consuming. Yes. But I will say it's a really nice skill to know that you can do it yourself and you know what it takes to edit.
Yeah, like you could do it from start to finish all by yourself if you wanted to, which is empowering.
Yeah. And like even things like lighting, having to buy lights for the studio.
Yeah.
Just educating myself on all of those things has been really actually fun.
Yeah. And I know that you just got married. Congratulations. And you were a COVID bride, like many of our clear-cut couples and people in our community. So kind of just want to talk about your experience with that because I feel like it would resonate with a lot of people. So talk about your journey from engagement to actual wedding.
So we got engaged December of 2019, so almost a year ago. Well, a year ago. Very excited. We initially thought we would be getting married in Cabo with like 150 people. And then COVID happened. So
when was it originally planned for?
September.
Okay.
September 12th. Didn't happen. So that idea obviously quickly fell through. And then we probably replanned it 2 more times.
Yeah.
Let me also preface this by saying I'm someone who does not enjoy planning.
Yes.
And
wedding planning is so stressful as it is. It's just like the worst thing ever.
Yes. Also for someone who doesn't enjoy planning and also doesn't have a clear I'm not also one of those girls who have had this like clear vision from like birth,
Yeah.
which I am very jealous of the girls and women who do, because I feel like that also just creates even more stress when you don't have that motivation to plan and be a vision. So it was stressful getting to that, a conclusion of what we wanted to do. We also had multiple venues like cancel on us. It just was a really slow, stressful process. And honestly, we didn't have something locked down until about 5 weeks before our wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have to like postpone dates or did you just end up having like a small ceremony on the same day or something?
So we changed it to October 18th, and that date sort of went from September 12th to, I think it was going to be October 11th. It changed multiple times until we could really lock down a venue who would commit to us. So it was, we ended up with our date, and then we obviously decided we just needed to make it immediate family only, because there were strict rules in place in Santa Barbara where we were getting married. And it also just simplified things a little bit too with COVID and making sure everyone felt really comfortable.
And I saw the photos and brides and it looked beautiful. Was it, I know it wasn't exactly how you pictured it, but were you happy with the end result? Was it everything like you hoped for in like this plan?
Yeah. So we had originally planned to have the ceremony and the reception in the same place, which was at a hotel. I had never seen the venue before. So I get to Santa Barbara and I see this, it's like a beautiful small terrace that's looking over the ocean. It's really nice, but it's very small. And I immediately, not freak out, but I'm just a little upset because I'm trying to envision how this ceremony is going to go. So long story short, I'll keep it short for you guys, but we did switch the ceremony to be at the Santa Barbara courthouse, which is outside. It is super magical. And that was the best decision we made about the wedding. So yes, the day of, it was really nice. I felt very present. I felt zero stress. I did my own hair and makeup. I felt it was nice because I think as someone who, even though I am in front of a lot of people, I'm an introvert. So I think the idea of having this intimate ceremony was actually ideal.
It's really
for
special.
Me. Yeah. Morgan and I set our own vows. And I think being able to have that moment with just our immediate family was incredible. And again, the most important thing for me was that I felt present. Oftentimes in a big events, I can almost feel outside of my body. So the fact that I could just be there and take that all in, I was really grateful for. And then the ceremony, we ended up going to the hotel, the reception to the hotel, which was gorgeous. And again, very, very intimate and special.
What advice would you give for other COVID brides who are still like in the midst of figuring things out?
I think if you've gone from the idea of planning a big wedding to having a small wedding, there's this sort of the idea that maybe it's just not going to be as you expected it to be or as special if it is smaller. But just to know that even if it's a small wedding, even if you're doing it in your backyard, it's not about all of the stuff. It's really about you and your future husband and those special vows that you're exchanging in front of your important people in your life. And I think that's really clear on the day of. And so just to let the stress of all the other stuff go, because that's really not what matters. And you're not going to remember it. I don't remember the place setting or really the food. I remember our vows. I remember the speeches. And I remember my dance with Morgan.
I couldn't agree more, because a lot of times you get lost in like all the stuff of the wedding, like all the small details, and then it just it's not even about you guys anymore. It's about like, and then people just like criticize the food and the this,
Totally. Yeah. Totally. And I mean, I've been to so many weddings too, where like, I couldn't tell you like what the food was like.
No.
I really couldn't tell you. Like, I remember it was a fun wedding.
Yeah,
but, like,
exactly.
No one actually remembers. So just to I think my advice to keep it simple and just remember why you're there.
Exactly. So before my wedding, I remember that everyone was telling me like, oh, you have to like starve yourself and like crash diet and like work out. So like I did that, and I like would literally work out like 6 days a week. And I'm not like I'm always struggled with like diet fads and like working out really hard and then not doing it for a few months. So like, what are your thoughts around like wedding diets or just like fad diets and like that kind of lifestyle in general?
I've talked about this a lot before, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about it too, but my early 20s was completely consumed by yo-yo dieting and binge eating and having a really unhealthy relationship with food and my body and my internal dialogue. And so I have really worked on that, really worked through it. And I'm a big advocate for intuitive eating and really checking in with our internal dialogue. I think most women can resonate with what you've been through, what I've been through. We, on some level, have had some type of disordered relationship with food or your body on some level, on some way. So, when I got engaged, I think there were definitely moments in my mind where I was like, well, I have to get into the best shape of my life. And I'm constantly checking in with that internal dialogue, and I really am having to almost speak back to it. And so I made a real conscious decision to not be in that mindset. And if I ever had those thoughts, to really kind of change the conversation with myself, because I do think it's super easy to fall back into that behavioral pattern of wanting to go on a yo-yo diet to look your best or to get into quote unquote the best shape of your life. But I really wanted to feel like myself on my wedding day. I know my husband wanted me to look like myself on my wedding day, and I didn't want to fall into that mindset. So I certainly had to work on that throughout the process of the wedding, but just constantly reminding myself that I was enough and that I wanted to feel good and healthy on my wedding day. And I never wanted to look back on my wedding pictures and be like, well, there's that unattainable wedding weight that I was at, because it's unattainable, right? Because
yeah, I mean, we got married in Italy, and we went a week earlier just to make sure everything was okay. And I didn't eat a single carb for the week before my wedding in Italy.
I had pancakes the morning of my wedding.
I'm so jealous.
But I think it is important for women to hear, if you are getting married, like, to take that pressure off as much. I think it's really much easier to say than do. But to really, I think as women, we really have to be much more conscious of the things that we're talking to ourselves about, the stories we're telling ourselves and believing, especially when it comes to our body.
Yeah. So can you speak a little bit about intuitive eating? Because I know I've heard you mention it before, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, I think intuitive eating is just simplifying. It's not a diet. It's really just about, I think on the most simple terms, eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full, trusting yourself around food. And also, by the way, coming from someone who used to yo-yo diet and binge, like, that was a really tough place to get to. I'm constantly striving to eat food that fuels me and feels good. So I think when you take away that diet mindset, the idea of mac and cheese suddenly doesn't become like this item that's off the list, and because you can have it if you want it, right?
Yeah.
So when things aren't on like the bad list or the good list, and you're just listening to your body and you're actually in tune with what is giving you energy and what's making you feel good, then you generally you may have a bite or two of it, but then it doesn't become like all-consuming idea that you need this.
Because the more you restrain yourself, the more like you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're vilifying food.
Yeah.
So if you can stop doing that a little bit more and just and trust yourself around food, and trust that your body's going to tell you when it's had enough and when it's hungry, and that especially as women, that being hungry isn't a bad thing. So for me, it's really just that. I eat intuitively, but again, that doesn't mean I'm having macaroni and cheese every night.
Yeah.
That's because macaroni and cheese doesn't necessarily, it tastes delicious,
but not every night.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really necessarily give me the energy or it doesn't make me feel great. So, I'm definitely striving just to eat whole, unprocessed food. I think too, with intuitive eating, it's also how I approach fitness. My fitness is all about doing what feels good. The Sculpt Society to me is a big celebration of our bodies to feel confident, to feel empowered. So taking a lot of what I've learned with intuitive eating and eating in a way that feels good, and then also moving in a way that feels good. And I think the combination of those two is incredibly powerful.
And I know in your workouts, you always like adjust and give like alternative ways to do things. And I usually take advantage of those. So that totally makes sense. Like if, you're like, today this doesn't feel good, do it this way. And I'm like, okay, today it doesn't feel good.
Totally. And anyone out there too, if, dance-based fitness doesn't resonate with you, and HIIT or strength training or yoga. I'm a big advocate of just finding a way of moving your body that feels good. And again, that translates to food as well.
I actually have a question. So I know that your program combines like the dance-based cardio and then like the sculpting stuff. And I sometimes will just do the sculpt because I love that. But is it bad to just do one and not the other combined?
So I have a big demographic on in part of the Sculpt Society community that is not a fan of dance cardio. And I always say that that's completely fine because there's so much low impact sculpt on the app, which I think is a really great offering. I also go over, if you don't want to do, say you're doing my 10-week program, if you don't want to do dance cardio, walk outside for 30 minutes, ride a bike for 30 minutes. There's other ways of getting cardio. And especially with my low impact sculpt classes, the way I've programmed it is still going to get your heart rate up.
Oh yeah, I'm still sweating.
Yeah, so I'm like sneaky about that. And I think if you know how to program a class well, you can still get someone's heart rate up in a low impact way. And so I'm a huge advocate, and I'm constantly talking about it because I think there's a misconception with the Sculpt Society that it's all dance cardio, and it's actually, I would say, 80% low impact sculpt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sometimes I like to like throw in, a
little follow along.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you know me, like my follow along dance cardio is simple, stupid. I keep it repetitive.
Yeah, you don't have to like know how to dance.
We're heel tapping and jumping jacks, Yeah.
Yeah. What do you see for the future of the Sculpt Society? Like, what are your future goals? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I think for my initial goals for the Sculpt Society is just to continue to grow the community.
It has grown so much this year, right?
It's been crazy.
Blown up.
It's been really exciting to see. Yeah, it's so fun for me to, especially during the lives when people can tell me where they're tuning in from. And it's like Singapore and Hawaii and like just all over the world. And it's so exciting. So yeah, just continuing to just grow that community online. I would love to do, like, once COVID is done, like a little mini tour around the country and, do classes in real life and meet the community in real life because that's so special.
You did something like that in the Hamptons this summer, right?
I did a little pop-up. So I'd love to do that like on the road.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then I have so many ideas for, activewear and lifestyle products that I would love to pursue, but we'll see.
Because it is like, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a workout.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to see it grow and continue to flourish. And it was so amazing having you here and meeting you. I literally feel like I met someone that I know, which is weird.
So no, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell everyone where they can follow you, how they can get the app, all that good stuff.
You can find me on Instagram at Megan Roup and then at the Sculpt Society. And, you can get a 2-week free trial on the Sculpt Society app through my website, which is thesculptsociety.com. You can drop a DM and say hi.
She'll answer you.
And I'll try to answer you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you found that conversation inspirational and that you will trust your intuition and your gut in all things that'll lead you to greatness and success. So remember to follow Megan at Megan Roup and the Sculpt Society. And of course, follow us at The Clear Cut for all your jewelry and diamond needs.